What's up, guys? Mike Lewis here, and welcome to the Mike Lewis podcast. If you guys want to keep up with me on social media, you can follow me on Instagram at Mike Lewis Official, and you can follow me on Twitter at MikeLew52. It's where most of my updates come. If you're enjoying my content, give me a like and a subscribe. And without further ado, let's just dive right into this episode. What's going on, folks? Welcome back. This is episode number 81, and if you're looking on your screen right now, folks, I went and we got another Real World New Orleans cast member back here, Mr. Eric Patrick. What's going on, man?
What's up, Mike? Episode number 81? You've done 81 of these? That's pretty impressive, dude.
I mean, probably a little more than that if you count some after shows I've done, but official episodes,
okay.
Yeah.
Officially 81 episodes. Congratulations, bro. I'm happy to be number 81. That's a significant number starting now.
Yeah. Ever go and play flag football somewhere, number 81.
81 with no repeats? Are there repeat guests on this?
Not in like a solo capacity. Like I've brought them together and they've been like after show guests. So
Gotcha. All right. I was just like, damn, I didn't even know there was 81 of us. That's so many. We've been on. They were on the air for now. Well, it's nice to meet you, dude. All the way from. I'm living in Australia these days, so we're probably on like different vibes. It's 10:30 in the morning for me.
Yeah, it's about 8:30 p.m. over by me. So.
Okay. All right. Where's your beer?
I left that in the fridge.
All right.
Doing that.
All right. Fair enough. I'll still keep up. Hope you're doing all right, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. How long you been in Sydney for?
Okay. So I've been in Sydney for 2 of the last 3 years. I was in Mexico for most of the pandemic, and then I was able to sneak my way back into Sydney in December, and that was a whole adventure. But I did like a hotel quarantine thing, and then and now I'm back here. I'm doing stand up. The comedy world in Australia treats me real nice, so I kind of stick around. This is like my home away from home.
Is that what inspired the move, the comedy?
Yeah. Doing stand up, I'm able to tour around here. I was just up in like Brisbane, and that's why I sound a little hoarse now because I had a show that went pretty late last night in Sydney. So, it's great, man. It's real fun. I got some festivals lined up for next year, so I'm here working on like a new hour show, which will be over there. I'll probably try to sell it, and no one will buy it, and then you'll see it for free on YouTube.
What happened when this whole pandemic started for you with that industry with comedy? Did it take a hit?
Oh, it was terrible, man. I was living in Mexico because I was trying to do comedy in Spanish. If you got any Spanish-speaking viewers, hola, manos. Puedo hablar en español también. I'm very talented. All right. I was trying to do it there, and then like 5 shows in, Mexico City just like closed down. I went to Oaxaca, tried to surf for a couple of months, and it was just done. There was no industry. I was pretty much left to my own devices, just doing ayahuasca and mushrooms in the mountains in Mexico, and then until I got the call to come back to Australia.
Dude, that's nuts. Yeah, this I know the entertainment industry kind of was probably arguably hit the worst, I feel like, during this whole process. Yeah.
Especially if you're in like crew, or if you work, like if you're a cameraman, audio, that kind of stuff, like those guys just like had no work for a while. So I don't know. I'm sure a lot of people, I felt really bad for like the younger crew of like the younger crop of comedians that had just started like 2 years ago, something like that. Because they're like open micers or what have you. And there's still, I mean, even to this day, like the open mic scene is like done. So we lost like a generation of young comics. I'm worried. Because, I mean, once you get like that long of a break, it's hard to get back into it.
Yeah, no doubt. Is that what you were up to pre-Real World? Were you in the comedy gig?
Kinda. I think like right before Real World, I think I'd graduated university early. And so I was working as like a contractor at the State Department in DC. And I was doing stand-up, but I was like 18 months in. So I was one of those people I was just talking about. I was like a new guy. I probably wasn't ready. I was hoping the Real World would bring me like college gigs, which it did. But then all of a sudden I had to do like an hour of stand-up, and I definitely didn't have an hour of stand-up at the time. So I was winging it, and
Yeah.
people left reviews saying that. So it was it is what it is. They're like, I don't know if he knows what he's doing up there.
How was college life for you?
Oh, it was great. Went to
Wow.
West Virginia University. If you have strict parents, it's important that you go to like a party school. I hear that West Virginia University is finally starting to turn around and focus on like the scholastic part of like the university part of being in a university, but instead of all the drinking and partying. But came from like a sheltered like single mom environment. She was not having any of that like stay out late type lifestyle, so I needed it. I like went out there and kind of like came into my own.
Wow. So when you were going there, it was a big party school then.
When I was going there, it was a party school, yeah. But they've upped their game. Now it's not as embarrassing to say I graduated from there. But it gave me like a lot of opportunity. Like that's probably where I got the travel bug, because while I was in WVU, I studied abroad. I mean, they had a lot of cool opportunities, and they got like some really good like engineering architecture programs. And I like studied in London for a while, and like went up to Canada for a while, and then I came back to WVU. So I mean, shout out to West Virginia. They did all right. You turned me into a decent human, I reckon.
Not quite the Arizona State party life though, right?
At the time, maybe. At the time, we were this big football powerhouse, but less blondes, I imagine. Less blondes than Arizona State. Yeah. More snowboarding.
Yeah.
Right.
So what was your casting process and story like to getting onto the show? How did it lead you to?
Oh man, that's an interesting story. Maybe not. Maybe your viewers are just like, I want to see Ryan again. I don't want to hear. But my story is interesting because my brother at the time, my younger brother Brandon, who's turned into like a social media phenomenon. He's
Really?
like a big, yeah, he's like a big Instagram model. This dude, he's like a bodybuilder and he's huge. But at the time, he was a very shy boy, and he was a huge Real World fan, like just enormous. And I had probably like I was still young enough to be on the show, but I probably was like a year or two older than their target age because I was like 20, like 23. But nonetheless, my brother like sent an email to Buna Murray. And he just said, he pretended he was me. He probably did one for himself too, but he's never admitted that. But he wrote one on my behalf, and it had like 4 or 5 pictures with my shirt off. And it was just like, it was the douchiest sounding email ever. It's just like, yo, my name is Eric, but my friends call me E-Money. I'm a comedian, and I work for the State Department, and I'd be perfect for the show. Holla at me. It was like that. And then the producers were like, this guy's a moron. We would love to have him. And they like just sent me a message and said that that I had like a VIP pass to go audition. And my brother hit me back and he was like, dude, you got to go audition. Like, you got this pass. You don't have to wait in line. I never, ever would have auditioned if I had to wait in that line. Like, that's how pretentious and narcissistic I was, where I was like, I'm not standing in line for 3 hours to be on The Real World. Like, not ever. But it worked. I took this piece of paper up to the casting place. They were doing it in like Adams Morgan in DC, which is my hometown. And sure enough, I gave this lady who was standing outside. She had the little microphone, looked super legit, like the Britney Spears like concert mic with the walkie-talkie in her hand. She was like, "We got another one," and like it was probably like 3 minutes. I stood there, and then I went, and it was like a big group casting call, which you probably heard a bunch of times. And I think I remember some woman or this girl that was in the group with me. She looked up, and then she was just like, I don't know what that is. She looked up and was just like, who are you? You got some pretty eyes, boy. And then I think the casting guy, I think his name was Eric, but he looked up and saw, like, he finally like looked at my face. I think he was just looking at the thousands of people. And he wrote my name down, and then that was it. I got moved on to the next process, maybe just because of visually. And then I won him over with my personality, Mike.
Wow.
Yeah.
So your brother signed you up then, but did he?
My brother signed me up.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Did he sign up himself, or did he just do it for you?
So he says he just did it for me. That's his story. My own personal belief is, yeah, right. I don't think that's true. But he claims that he just signed up for me. He's been really close to getting on Big Brother himself. I know
Really?
that's like, yeah, that's still kind of like his.
They started pulling Big Brother onto the main challenge now.
Are they really?
Yeah, for the last like I'd say 3 years now, 4 actually.
Oh, see, I didn't even know that because I thought those were different, like
They are,
production
they
companies.
are different networks, but
Oh, okay.
and believe me, it's been met with a
Some contention.
not it's definitely not a clear
Yeah.
cut pleasant reaction out of the
We don't
fans.
want you Big Brother scum over here. All right. In that
Yeah,
challenge world, you
it,
stay in
it
your own universe.
it started with Are You the One, but that at least is like MTV's network, so maybe not as bad, but then it's since devolved into like, I just mentioned Big Brother. They started pulling Survivor, dude. It's gotten to the point where they've even had an America's Got Talent singer and a WWE wrestler have been on. It's crazy now.
On the challenge, they got a WWE wrestler.
On this
Oh,
past season, yeah.
this is getting ridiculous. If now that means like I have to do steroids if I do this challenge thing. I got to go there, just slap in the face, water in, eating raw eggs in the morning. I can do that. It's all right. I'm ready.
Yeah,
Put me on. Put me in, coach.
Yeah, I want to dive back though into kind of
All right.
your, casting. So I always ask like my guests, was it about television or the experience? But in your case, it kind of seems like your brother just signed you up, and then like you were just
Yeah.
going with the flow. So what really was
Going
your
with the flow. I mean, part of it was honestly just to see how far I could get. I remember like, because there's all these rounds of casting. And so I got through that first round and I definitely was like, I mean, I'm relatively interesting. So it kind of was just an ego boost of like a confirmation of that for those first couple. But then when they like wanted me to go up to Philadelphia to do like the third round of like auditioning, I was like, oh, well, maybe I have a chance. And then they flew, once I was getting on a plane to LA for the last round, I kind of just knew I was gonna get it. I was like,
Yeah,
nah, I'm gonna nail this. Just because I thought like it's not about like you getting cast over, the however many thousands of people to be one of the 7 or 8. I thought it was like me versus like the people who fit my demographic, right? Like being a minority or like black male, whatever. And I was like, okay, well, me versus them, like how do I stick out? And I just thought by that point, I think I'm gonna get on. And because I had been doing stand-up comedy for like a year and a half at this point with some like varying degrees of success, I just thought like, oh, if I get this, maybe, it'll open the world up to like doing university shows and college shows and all that stuff. And it technically did. I was like, it did exactly what I was hoping it was going to do. So then that was like the new motivation, like as I got further and further into the process, just like, oh, if I should do this. Like I convinced him, it took me like 3 rounds to convince me that it was like the right thing to do.
yeah.
Right.
Did any of your comedy come up during any of the questions they ask you, or when you use your personality?
Oh man, yeah, I'm sure a little bit. I can't remember like any specific questions as far as like tell me a joke. Luckily, they're smart enough to not be like tell me a joke, then prove it, because like, well, it doesn't really work that way. But yeah, I'm sure it came up a bit, just like you think you're going to be the funny one, and I thought I was. When I got cast, I thought for sure like, oh, they're casting me to be the funny guy, and then I met Knight, and I was like, oh, I'm the normal guy. Knight's the funny guy. I'm just I guess I'm just the one that's like, I can't believe you said that. Like I'm the normal dude.
Wow, yeah. So I want to ask you now, because one of your previous cast members within the past week had some pretty choice opinions on the New Orleans location, and with like the rules with like curfew with you guys, which I still find pretty crazy. I mean, I heard that they were having you guys have to come home by 12 a.m., which I thought was pretty unrealistic and unreasonable for young teens or early 20-year-olds. But what was your whole take on the New Orleans as a place? Maybe how are the people, the location,
Yeah.
and with the rules and whatnot?
So I got really lucky. I don't know where to start with that, but first I'll say, just as far as New Orleans is concerned as a city, I've lived outside of the United States for the most of the last 10 years, really ever since the Real World. Like I did New York for a stretch after the Real World, but then I moved to the Dominican Republic and started this whole like Anthony Bourdain lifestyle that I've been living.
Okay.
Yeah. And I still tell people to this day that my favorite American city is New Orleans. When like people ask me if they want to go visit America, I'm like, yeah, go to New Orleans. Like New York is probably the best city, and LA is a great idea, but like New Orleans is the best city in the United States. And it's because it's like Vegas with culture. You know what I mean? Like it's just this great food, great atmosphere, like just amazing people, super fun. It's like the perfect, 7-day vacation, and it's really small and it's walkable and it's just perfect. That being said, a 12 o'clock curfew in New Orleans is ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like that city doesn't pop off until like 2 a.m. The drug of choice in New Orleans is alcohol. Every now and then, I have friends who are going to New Orleans who, whatever, I don't got anything to hide, but they might just hit me up and be like, hey man, we're trying to find some insert illicit substance, right? And I'll just be like, dude, you can't find anything in New Orleans because everybody just prefers to drink. And there's like no last call. What's that?
I said that's crazy. No, continue.
Oh yeah, there's no last call. Like everything is just open as long as somebody's willing to be out there buying alcohol. And so because when you're in cities like that, like I've lived in Europe for a while, and places like Barcelona and Paris and southern France, like they just pop off until like 5 a.m. Like I remember going to nightclubs in Madrid and waiting in line at like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning to get into the club, right? And New Orleans has this like European like lifestyle where it's similar to that. Like you go to the club at like 2:30 a.m. versus where I come from in DC, last call is 2 a.m. So yeah, so to think that we need to be home by midnight, it's just kind of like unfair, like because you're not really getting the soul of New Orleans at 11 p.m. Like real New Orleans is happening at like 1:30, 2:30 in the morning. But I get why they do it. Like they got this expensive equipment and people get more, intoxicated and inebriated, and last thing they want to do is like break a $50,000 camera because people are getting drunk and fighting at 2 a.m. So it makes sense, but it is a bit of like a disservice to the city or to your experience in the city. If you're gonna if you're doing a show in Denver, you know what I mean? If you're in like Salt Lake City, Utah, like yeah, all right, we can be home by midnight. You've seen what you had to see. You went kayaking.
Oh no, what's wrong with Denver? Because that's like my place of choice. Where like when I've done everything I want to do in life, I just want to chill there. But
Denver is great. No, Denver is amazing. It's just not a place you need to be out at 2 a.m. Yeah, like it's a great place. You can have a whole lot of fun in Denver, and if you're going home at 11 p.m., it's like, yeah, well, you did everything you had to do today.
Yeah.
Yeah. In New Orleans, it's like you're going home at 11, dude. There's gonna be a parade in like 3 hours.
So they get down, I take it, right, with partying New Orleans?
Oh man, it's perfect. I mean, it's kind of like this in a lot of ways it would be the best place to film a show, which is why like so much stuff is going on down there now. But like in a lot of ways it's great for that reason. But as far as reality filming, it is tough because like, with alcohol comes like a whole nother side of human behavior, which makes like having all that equipment, trying to coordinate with people, like all that stuff gets a lot harder when everyone stops caring about what you're talking about after 11:30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How was it adjusting with like the cameras and everything being in your face 24/7? Like was it a weird kind of transition for you?
No, not really, because I mean I'm on season 24. Right. You know what I mean? Like we had, you knew what to expect by then. Like I get like anybody who was on seasons 1 through 10 might be like, oh, this is what it actually looks like to have like, the cameras and trying to look natural. But by season 24, we had already seen behind the scenes footage and reunion shows and all that good stuff. And so you already like, by the time I saw the cameras, I was like, yeah, that's exactly what it should look like. This makes perfect sense. So like getting it like adjusted to cameras being in your face was probably like, I reckon by season 20 and on, all the cast members were just like ready for it. Like we kind of knew what to expect. So it wasn't that bad. The confessionals are bad. That's where like somewhere like Jemmy or Night are better because like I can do this real well, like interaction, like have conversation, bouncing ideas, or just talk. That's fine. But when it's just me with a camera, I'm like, I don't really know what I'm supposed to reveal to you guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so yeah, and then you need someone like Jemmy who's just like will talk to herself in the mirror for a fucking hour and a half and be thoroughly entertained.
Yeah, she's still doing shows actually, Jemmy.
Yeah, I see her out there. She's going, she's on her 5th iteration of hair color this year. She's doing well. Yeah, she's working it. I love her.
So did you enjoy the edit you got, or because from watching it, you kind of seemed like the voice of reason in the house, like kind of normal. Everybody else kind of had their moments of mischief. Was Eric up to, any tricks that we didn't potentially see on our screens, like, or
100%?
Really?
I mean, like, it's just funny what as you get older and in retrospect, because I think we were talking earlier off camera, but like I'm not necessarily like addicted to creating drama. I'm not necessarily averse to it. Like if it happens, it happens. But I let a lot of stuff just roll off my back because I'm a relatively chill individual. You know what I mean? And so I was getting into some mischief and maybe whoring around a bit in New Orleans, but I was doing it like off camera only because like if you're filming a show with this cast group, like the more interesting storylines are going to be like storylines within the group. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not, if I'm like, of course now in my like producer brain, because I've done other shows, I get it. Where it's like if you have one guy that's going off and getting into a lot of trouble, but like on his own, well, that's not really conducive to like, we got 7 other voices in here who are like arguing with each other, and so or like sleeping with each other, or whatever you want to, whatever you want to do. So there was a little bit that I had. I mean, I had some visitors come into the house or like stay the night or whatever, but again, it wasn't. It didn't. And like the one little time it did cause some drama inside. Of course, that made the final cut.
Right.
But yeah, for the most part, I was a bit more like the voice of reason at times, and I didn't notice. It didn't really like upset me or anything, but I don't know if I took the whole like Sahar Eric thing not happening as hard as like the Taking Back Sunday music would suggest. When they play that music on your face and it's like, I don't know why you don't love me anymore, and it's like shows my face and I'm just like like chewing gum, like looking at this in the
Right.
distance. And like if you don't know any better, like I would always tell like maybe older viewers versus younger viewers, because older viewers would always say, hey, how come they tried to make it look like you were so heartbroken? And younger viewers would be like, hey man, you were really heartbroken. And I'm just like, oh, that's
Smart.
there it is. That's the magic. But it is what it is. Who wouldn't be heartbroken if Sahar didn't want him? I mean, look at her. She's a great lady.
Did they show like you with any other girls? Because I just remember the one instance of you and Sahara, obviously, of course. But then there was the other time, which I mean, not to first of all, the other girl looked like Sahara that you brought home.
Did.
But Ryan ended up doing you dirty a little bit there. But
yeah, making her feel all awkward and weird. That motherfucker. Oh, am I allowed to say motherfucker on here? My bad, man.
Fine, yeah.
Oh, weird ass dude. Is he still weird?
No, I mean, he seemed like a fine guy to me. I mean, I don't know.
All right, fair enough. I don't know how good your judge of character is yet, Mike. I had to hit him up myself and see if he's matured.
No, but yeah, that girl that you brought home, when I saw her, I was like, wow, Eric really nailed a good one here, bringing her home. But
I know how to pull him, bro.
Yeah, but when Ryan scared her off, I was like, if I'm in Eric's shoes, I don't know if I'm handling this as calm as he did.
I don't know if I was really that calm at all, because I still kind of like flipped out on him. And sometimes the only regret I've ever had on the show was that I didn't flip out harder. Like really? I remember holding back because I had this job still, and in my head I was still a little bit like concerned that I might like, embarrass somebody or whatever, like maybe act like the angry black guy or something like that. And I was like, I don't know if I was furious, but I like held back my emotion. And then like years went by and I was like, dude, I should have threw his bed out of the freaking window. Like I should have did something like absurd, because who cares? You know, like at the end of the day, it wouldn't have mattered. It would have made for great theater.
Yeah,
If I could go back, that's what I would do it like even harder.
you had that one scene where you hopped out of bed, I think, when Ryan
Yeah.
brother over, and then like
Right.
you were just, I think you were like just in your underwear and you were like flexing on him.
I've seen screenshots of that on various gay reality fan pages on the internet. You know.
Oh, there you go. You got a following somewhere.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely. There's a nice imprint. There's a nice imprint of my guy
Yeah.
in the underwear there. I'm like, oh, look at that. Well, I'm glad I showed up for that one.
Yeah, did that whole Sahar dynamic? I mean, you guys had that little, kind of peck kiss at the bar or whatever, I think it was. But then at the reunion, I think you were saying like, there was a passionate kind of kiss that wasn't shown. Was that more or less a joke, or was there actually?
There was. I think it might have been. I think it was after after New Orleans Saints won the Super Bowl. It might have been on there. If not, then. But yeah, there was a couple other times. I remember me and Sahar had this conversation. And I kept waiting for the cameras to come up because we like snuck. We were in the house, and it was like after, because the way it works is like you're all mic'd up for most of the day, and then like if you want to go to sleep, then they'll like unmic you, and you can just go to bed. And then like for instance that night that I hopped out of bed, and like they knew it was brewing. They could see me just all day, just like getting angry with this kid, and then that happened, and then when Ryan comes into the room. They got the boom ready, you know what I mean? Because I'm not mic'd up, so it's like, how are they gonna hear you? And anyways, me and Sahar were like having a conversation. It was like late at night, but I mean it was on camera. But we were in like this weird like day bed, and we were just talking, and she's telling me about this guy back in Michigan, and like I don't think we should do anything, whatever. And it was like a nice little heartfelt convo. Anyways, I kept waiting for like the cameras to like rush up the stairs. I was like, they're gonna bum rush it at any point, but they never did. So I guess we were just pretty good at being covert about it.
Yeah. Pablo, her boyfriend at the time, I think it was kind of.
Yeah, Pablo, that was his name. Who's still I think I'm still friends with him on Facebook. I gotta get on.
Really, Pablo?
I'm friends with him on Facebook. I just saw him pop up. It's so crazy that this is happening because I saw him pop up like the other day on the internet, and I was like, oh, that's the guy.
What are the odds of that? Holy shit.
Right. He's got an American Express card with the Monopoly Man on it. So I think he's still the same old guy.
Yeah, dude, I was kind of feeling for you at the reunion because, I mean, Sahar tried to play that whole, he's into me, I'm not into him card, and then the rest of the people kind of jumped in and were calling you like a creep and whatnot, and I was just like,
dude,
damn.
You know what? I have forgotten all about that, and I wish I screenshot it for some proof, but some of the cast members have since apologized for that day. But if there's anything that ever turned me off of the whole world, it would have been that conversation, because it was so weird. And I don't know if the producers, because one of the producers is a little bit older, and he was telling me, like, I guess his explanation to me, whether or not this was genuine, was that he meant like I was a creep, like I was creeping out of the house and like doing my own thing. That's at least what they were saying. Yeah. And I was like, I don't think you understand how we use the word creep these days, bro. But like, you call somebody a creep, that's like, you're essentially calling me Harvey Weinstein. Those are fighting words. That's not cool. Yeah. And I had never done anything like that to any of them. Like, it was so, because Knight, may he rest in peace, there's like one day Knight like put his dick on Ashley's forehead while she was sleeping, which is literally something a creep would do, right? Like, like that is the definition of like creep behavior, and yet they were calling me out, and I was like, what? Like, give me an example. And if you go back to that reunion show, like I explicitly say, like, tell me like one time that I did anything that was like remotely creepish. And I think Mackenzie kind of like stutters or whatever, but like nobody really has that. They just kind of, it reminded me then like, oh, these kids are dumb. Like because when you do these like interviews, the producers will ask you these like leading questions, You know, so instead of saying, do you think Eric is a creep? They're like, Eric's a creep. Don't you think he's a creep? And they'll be like, Eric is a creep. And then like that's the edit that they cut for the show. And I just didn't understand where that came from. I was like, where is this narrative coming from? It caught me so off guard. And I was like completely turned off because it just was this weird like storyline that came from nothing. Like I didn't really know what that was, other than it just I guess they thought the audience didn't know me, so they could just they wanted to like justify that as to why, and it was just so weird.
Yeah, because from what you were saying that what was it, the producers were telling you about you creeping around, like the way that you're saying they explained that to you is definitely not the way it came across in the reunion at all. Like
Not at all.
from what, and I mean it's on Paramount Plus. I mean, I was watching it the other day. It was like completely, what we were just referencing, like the way they framed that. I was like, I don't understand.
Where did that happen? Where did that? Like, give me like something to like. Where is this coming from? It's still to this day, and I've never really gotten over that. Like, I've never gotten, because I mean, again, like you're essentially calling me something like that's reprehensible. That I would, if anything, especially compared to like my friends or whatever, I'm probably like the most feminist. I don't know. That sounds. I'm almost sounding like Donald Trump. I'm the most unracist guy I've ever met. I'm the most. But I mean, like, I couldn't imagine even fitting that description. Like, it's like, it would really disgust me. So for like 6 people who I thought knew me pretty well to like co-sign on that, it was like, it blew me away. And I just thought, oh, these kids are fucking dumb. They're just dumb, And so, I just didn't, it is really what caused like I'll still, every now and then Jimmy hits me up on Instagram or like Ashley's hit me up. And I've seen a couple of the cast members. I met up with Sahar in Chicago once, like just for a night out. Like it was like a Halloween night. And I just went up there. Not like I went to Chicago because I wanted to go to Chicago. Sahar just happens to live there. But of course, if I'm in your city, we're going to like hang out. But I've never let that go. Like I've never in my head, like I've always just been like, you guys are fucking stupid. And, whatever, like get over it. What's that?
Have you ever brought that up to them? Like when you guys have spoken or not?
I brought it up to Jemmy once, and Mackenzie like brought it up herself and like just straight up apologized, and brought it to Jemmy once, and then she like kind of apologized, but I don't think she really fully understands like what that meant to me. Yeah. Because it was just so strange, and of course of all that, because the only guy I ever actually got into like a real like heartfelt argument with was Ryan. Like there was one joke I said that upset Sahar once. I don't know if it made the cut or not, but me and Ryan got into it like one time, and he was the only one on the show that was like, I don't know what they're talking about. So like, salute to Ryan for keeping it real. I should hit him up and be like, yo, you're the only real one, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll stay on the topic of Ryan now because I want to hear kind of like your perspective. Because when I was asking him why he felt like there was somewhat of a disconnect between him and the house, he seemed to suggest that he didn't really take a liking to what he would consider, them maybe being a little fake for the cameras or whatnot, and maybe that's why. But why do you feel like maybe you could speak to your own personal relationship with Ryan? But like, why do you feel like him and the house kind of butted heads?
Well, okay, so I don't know what his current situation is like, but at the time Ryan was just I would diagnose him as just being like pretty immature. You know what I mean? Like he was just an immature kid, which is, I mean, he was fun and he could be funny, and he was like a cool person to like. He would have been a great friend if, let's just say, outside of the Real World house, if you just met Ryan in real life, he would have been a great guy to like be friends with and like go have drinks with and like hang out with, but never someone you want to like live with. You know what I mean? Like he's kind of gross. He would leave tissues everywhere, and he doesn't really have like consideration for other people and their space and all that good stuff, which is why you would cast him to be on the Real World, because he's people can't stand that kind of personality. You know what I mean? Right. But as far as fakeness for the camera, I mean, it's weird because Ryan is probably quite authentic, and even at the time, like I don't think that he was pretending for the most part. I do think that that's who he really was. But I also think that he knew more than anybody, like when the camera was rolling. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's a little bit like, I mean, all right, bro, I guess. But I would. That's probably my second regret, though, is we shouldn't have voted him out. I don't think that, even though he was a pain in the ass to live with, I don't think that it was our right to kick him out of the house just because of that. Like, if he had done something like racist, or if he had like wanted to fight people, or if he was doing something that was like really harmful, then sure. But I think like other people have gotten kicked out because they like spat in someone's face, or they slapped someone in the face or something like that. It's like, all right, yeah, but you got to go. But he was just like an inconsiderate person.
Yeah.
But that's not enough to get kicked out of the house. Like, I really should have been on the other side of that coin and been like, dude, I know this sucks, but we didn't cast him, so we really shouldn't be the ones that say whether he can stay or go.
Did you feel like anybody in the house was maybe, putting on for the cameras in a way, like changing their personalities?
No, I don't think anybody would ever change their personality. No, I don't think, because they're kids and they're not good actors. You know what I mean? Like, I know Sahar is an actor now, but nobody, like, if anybody was like really putting on, it would have been really transparent. You know what I'm saying? None of them have been in a movie or a play or anything like that. So no, they're not. I think that there might have been some exaggeration of your own personality type. Like, Knight might have exaggerated himself a bit just to be bigger because we're on TV.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. But like, being like quote unquote fake, like, I don't think that was really happening.
What was your relationship like with Knight, like prior to obviously what transpired with him and how he passed?
Oh, I mean, so on the show we were really tight. We were cool. Like, we would break off and have our own conversations, and Knight off camera, to be fair, would probably be a little bit more introspective, and like, he was definitely like an empathetic guy, and could get real deep, and have like, you could see like, maybe where some of that darkness comes from as far as like addiction or whatnot, but also how he could like really know who he was. Like, he knew himself pretty well, and he was like a real thinker, you know what I mean, and like was really clear on what his goals were and his intentions and whatnot, and it was cool. And then after the show, what was revealed to me, I mean, I don't know if it doesn't matter, I guess I'll tell you, but like, I guess Jemmy had revealed to me that like Knight thought that me and Jemmy had like a thing which didn't exist. But like, maybe that was why, like, towards the end of the show and then like afterwards, we didn't like necessarily hang out. Well, plus, geographically it would have been hard to hang out. Like, the kid lives in Wisconsin, I lived in Washington, D.C. So, we saw each other every now and then for some of those like appearance things and whatnot. But for the most part, after the show, we didn't necessarily like hit each other up and talk really much. But I also was just holding a grudge on the whole cast because they just called me a creep. So yeah, so I wasn't really talking to anybody. I kind of wrote everybody off because I just, again, like, I never got over that. And so once that happened, I wasn't really talking to anybody.
Wow, so that was a real thing then, right? Because, I mean, we just obviously talked about it, but I didn't know, like, it struck a chord that deep,
Oh, yeah, dude, that struck a huge chord. I mean, I was raised by, like, a single mom. Like, treating women with respect is, like, a thing I pride myself on doing. So, again, it was just so blindsiding. I remember when they were, like, doing the interviews for the reunion show, they had said that to me because they tried to lead me with that question. It's just like, so would you say you're a bit of a creep? Like, the cast says you're a bit of a creep, but you didn't. And I was just like, what are you talking about? Like, what? I don't know where that's coming from. And then when they showed my little montage, and then they showed that, and all it is, no stories, nothing attached to it. It's just like, Eric's a creep. Yeah, Eric's a creep. And I'm like, where are you guys getting this? And all of them co-sign. And so, yeah, I wasn't talking to anybody for like a year or two. Yeah, I held that grudge deep. I took that super personal.
Wow. Yeah, no, they definitely, the producers from stories that have been told on here, they definitely like suggest or try to, I feel like, get cast members to say certain things in interviews?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, and again, it's like you're dealing with kids in their early 20s, and they're trying to make a show. And I remember, like, half those producers have like degrees in psychology. Like, they know what they're doing as far as like making interviews that lead you with questions, so you can, they want to elicit like an answer that's gonna fit for like narrative purposes. I mean, sometimes it's not with like, I would say 95% of those questions aren't malicious. Like they're not like, they don't have like a malintent to like make you look bad. I always tell people that, like, sometimes people say like, oh, do they edit it to make you look bad? And I'm like, no, man, like, it's kind of hard to make someone look bad who wasn't bad in the first place. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you said that, you did that. Sometimes the only thing that's misleading is maybe the chronological order of events. But as far as like you saying what you said, or, I mean, it's really hard to take things out of context for the most part.
Mm.
Yeah.
So I just want to jump back into like what you mentioned before. Do you feel like, with Knight thinking about that thing with you and Jemmy, do you feel like that maybe created a rift on his end with you, or?
I don't know if that's real. I mean, I guess you would have to ask her that, because I wasn't as tight in their relationship to know if it created a real rift. I mean, that was just something that was said to me. I mean, again, like, the rift for me and him specifically might have been created that day at the reunion show. Yeah. So, like, regardless of what he thought, if me and Jemmy had like an attraction to each other, I didn't really care. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm not sure if that was, I'm not even sure if that's real. Like, that's just something that I was told. But, I don't think, again, we had a great relationship for the majority of the time I knew him. And even after the fact, after the reunion, like, if I had seen him again, I'm like 99% sure we would have been fine. Like, there was no like animosity. We weren't like going on other platforms like talking shit about each other or anything like that. So yeah, I'm not sure if that's real. That might have just been something that, I don't even know if that's something he said to her, if that's something that she just suspected, but it's just what was told to me. But I think the rift I had with him was just the rift I had generally with the whole cast.
Right.
We're not as tight, our cast, compared to the other ones.
Oh, dude. I mean, I've had, most, the Cancun Cast, I'm like, I've had them on there. They're, like, so tight.
Yeah, they're dope. Because I follow, Aia, yeah, like, we've, like, had conversations just on social media. We've never met in person, but, like, she seems real dope, so we've, like, talked before. Yeah. And I see her with her cast members. I'm like, damn, man, like, they are fucking close, bro. Like, they made real friends on that show. And even some of the older cast members, like, I think Hawaii or whatever, but like, they stayed tight. Yeah. And my group, like, I think Ashley and Jemmy might be friends. And that's kind of it in actuality. You know what I mean? Like, Mackenzie, like, went back to Florida and, like, is doing whatever, just being a mom. Yeah. And then, and Jemmy's still in it, and Ashley is like killing it on the radio in Boston, which is dope. But I live outside the country anyways. It's hard enough for me to keep in close contact with my own family. So yeah.
No, dude, like, I've actually held like Cancun reunions like on this channel too. So,
get
like,
out of here.
Yeah, that's
I mean, I'm a little bit jealous. I thought that that's what was gonna come from this before I did the show. I was like, oh man, I'm gonna like this is going to be a thing that like never goes away. And I guess I don't know what it was about our dynamic. I don't really know what happened, but I can tell you that, that reunion show for me was like an easy, like, get the fuck out of my life type situation. I mean, I'll always be friendly with those people. Like, we still have this experience, and I'm just not a natural asshole. I can be a dick, but I'm not like a natural, like, I hate you kind of guy. So if I saw them, it'd be nothing but hugs and laughs. But again, like, until I got some real affirmation that there was like some remorse for what was said at that reunion show, then, there'll always be a little bit of like a arm's length with that group for me.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Ashley just got married recently, and Jemmy was at her wedding. So.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, those two got a real thing going, which good for them. I mean, that's what should happen.
Yeah.
Right.
What was it like hanging out with Sahara like when you met up in Chicago?
Oh, it was fun. It was fun. I mean, again, I do pretty well for myself, like financially speaking. I'm comfy, you know what I mean? So like I went there and was like I brought like a friend or two with me, and we had gotten some we just had like a nightclub bottle buy-in Halloween night out in Chicago, and just like got got drunk and had fun. You know what I mean? It was like a super good time. And Sahar is great. Like I don't personally hold ill will towards any of them. I just don't. In my neighborhood, we'd be like, I just don't really fuck with you like that. Does that make sense? Like there's like certain types of bonds that you'll have with people, or like things that you would reveal to like your closest friends, that maybe I just I look at them like coworkers that I like a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
for sure.
Like they're like really good work friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, with your cast, I mean, you guys have a really, popular season. Like obviously, I mean, I mentioned Paramount Plus. Like people have been going back and watching that season. They really enjoy it. But there is also the asterisk of maybe the not so heavy, or prominent, challenge.
Yeah.
Presence of your cast on the shows. Like obviously Jemmy has done a bunch and she's still doing, she's on that all-star season I told you about with the older real worlders and whatnot. But she did a bunch of the main challenge shows, and Knight went on to do 3, Preston did 3, I think Mackenzie did 1.
You won,
That was
yeah.
it. And everybody was kind of shocked to see that you and Ashley, who they would pretty much call the 2 most athletic, even Ryan, from a drama standpoint, would have been a pretty good fit.
Yeah.
So this is pretty much going to lead into my point now, and this question always comes up: why didn't we see you on a challenge? When or if did you get called? How many times did you get called? Like, what was the tea on why this didn't come to fruition?
I got called once to see if I could do Battle of the Seasons. And at the time, I was living in the Dominican Republic. And, I had a good thing going down there. I was making some decent coin. And I just felt like, I don't know plus I had signed a contract for this job down there. And I'm a big man of my word type of person. So I didn't want to like leave this job I was doing high and dry, even though they're like temporary jobs. I do my own thing in that regard. But, I was like, oh man, I just wasn't available. And I don't know how the producers took that, but I think because I said no, then especially given maybe my like open rift with the way things ended, I think they just thought that meant I'm done forever, because I've never gotten a call again.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Because there was that I'm pretty sure I saw, because they, the fans dig up, who's getting called, and they always know.
Right.
And there was like some website I think called Close Calls, where they show like who either declined or accepted and wasn't used or dropped out and all things of that nature. I think I did see the Battle of the Seasons one, and then there was another one. There was a rumor that you and Sahar both accepted for X's too. I know you guys, the X's term a little stretched, but they pair people.
It's a little bit, yeah, but it is what it is. I get it,
Yeah, they pair people, but
Right.
yeah, there was a rumor that you guys accepted that and just weren't used. I take it that didn't happen.
That rumor is not real, but I tell people all the time, like, dude, I'm not above it. Like, I stay in shape. I do my abs every day. I'm still single out here. I gotta look good for these people, Mike. I'm not married yet. I gotta stay fit. You know what I'm saying? So like, I'm ready for the call. I'm ready to kick some ass on that show, but I'm also not like thirsty enough to like seek it out. Like my life is going pretty well, and I'm doing like some really fun, awesome things, like traveling the world. So it is like I'm kind of living that, because these challenges are like filmed everywhere, right? They like go all over.
Yeah, they've been to like,
yeah, that's what I mean. Like I'm kind of like living that lifestyle like on my own. Like I've lived in Brussels. Yeah, I lived in South Africa. I lived in the DR and Mexico. It's like, dude, I'm doing it anyways. So life is already a challenge. But
you're living a challenge life, just minus running into a bunch of grown men and then living with a bunch of 29-year-old adult drunks.
But again, if it were to come up, like especially right now, because I'm a full-time comedian right now. I'm not really doing any of my other like side hustle work, so I'm technically available for it at the moment. I mean, I'm just doing stand-up, but again, like I prioritize everything in life, so I wouldn't necessarily be like a guaranteed get, but you never know. Again, I'm ready. I'm ready for these boys.
Yeah, I was like, and I always tell people this too. I'm like, oh my God, like I'm so like, if you were to just take a casual fan, right? Tell them to turn on New Orleans, with their remote
Yeah.
control, just watch it without any knowledge of as to what prior happened, what happened after, and you ask them, which of these people you think, went on to do challenges? I guarantee you they say you and Ashley out of the one guy and one girl.
That would make
And
sense.
yeah, and this ain't no slight to Preston. Obviously, he was a great guest. Love him as a cast member. I would
Yeah,
even,
that's
I would,
great.
I would still have him on 3 shows. But for like the specific nature of Battle of the Seasons in general, I think
Right.
that you and Ashley, because I think it was Knight and Jemmy, and then Preston
Yeah.
and Kenzie rounded out the team. I would have
Right.
keep Knight and Jemmy, obviously,
Yeah.
but add.
Yeah.
I,
I
I
wonder, like, I'm sure they reached out to Ashley. I don't know her story as to why she wouldn't do it. Maybe she was like working on the radio and just felt like she wanted to prioritize that, um, which is fair. I mean, that was a good call on her part
yeah,
if that's the case, because I can't imagine they didn't reach out to her.
I think I heard she was an alternate for Battle of the Seasons, but I just
Uh,
I just can't, and I just can't believe that they wouldn't use her over Mackenzie though. So I'm just like
yeah.
confused.
Yeah, and maybe they just wanted that. I mean, Mackenzie might be pretty. I'm not sure if she's like a surf. She looks like a surfer lady. She might be out there like, having. She's got the Pilates body. You know what I mean? Like it's the other type of fitness. So maybe that's what they were going for.
Yeah. Did you have like any, competition background? Because like, you looked like a Greek god on your Real World season. Like, what were you doing?
Oh, I mean, yeah, like I played like high school sports, of course, but then like after that, it's mainly just like I've always my bro. Like if you looked up my brother Brandon Patrick, we just kind of have it in our DNA, like staying in shape and like playing sports and being athletic. It's just kind of like a thing, especially like having a brother that's like 4 years younger than you. Like we just have this internal competition all the time
Right.
of like beating each other up and playing basketball and stuff like that. So yeah, you just always have to be ready. That's pretty much what it is. Like in my house, like you got to be ready because they're trying to take you at any moment. And so that's kind of how that came about for me. Kind of staying in shape.
Did you meet any of the challenge contestants, like, on bar appearances or
Have
what?
I think I'm not sure if I did. If I did, I kind of put it out of my brain. Because the bar appearance circuit, I met the most was the Jersey Shore cast.
Wow, I
Yeah.
live like right, by all those people. Yeah.
Really? Do they still live in New Jersey? I never. I always assumed that they would.
I think Snooki
move on.
does. Snooki and
Oh, okay.
Snooki and JWoww do. I don't know about the
Yeah,
other.
I met all of them multiple times in a variety of ways. Like I remember I got booked to do comedy at this upfront for MTV, and the cast was there because when our season was on, the Jersey Shore was only on season 2.
Yeah.
So they were still kind of like new to the game too. So they weren't like these mega stars like they are now. They were of course like destined to be, and I think they knew it. But like nonetheless, they were still relatively accessible. And yeah, I would see them like pretty often, like especially because I was living in New York. So like the situation and like the Ronnie and like and Snooki I saw at the MTV up fronts and then like a couple of appearances, but I saw them like multiple times. It was weird. And then as far as Real World folks, not. I'm just trying to think. I don't think I saw. I know I did, but I can't even remember. I think I saw like a couple of the DC people,
Uh,
whatever reason.
probably
Yeah,
like,
like
yeah.
Andrew Woods, I think his name was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I met him, and then oh man, in LA, I can't remember. I think I saw a couple of Real World folks, but yeah, nothing like really sticks out.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
at the time when not Real World, Jersey Shore first came out, because being in the area, like they took off. Like they weren't even supposed to. They were supposed to be like alternating casts every season. They weren't supposed to keep the same group of people, but because of how popular season 1 was and how much of a hit it was, they just like wrote it till the wheels fall off. And fortunately enough, the wheels are
still going.
Yeah, they're still churning.
Isn't that crazy? Good for them, man. I don't know how they have the energy. I think they got like their kids on the show and stuff now.
Yeah,
it's like keeping up with the Kardashians.
Yeah, everybody was hoping we would have saw them at some point make the crossover, but I think like they don't even need to at this point. They just make so much money off of this show that it's just not even worth it.
No, we'd be lucky enough to cross over into their universe.
Yeah, imagine.
Yeah, not a chance. Wow, that's crazy, man. Yeah, it is impressive. It's like an impressive run for them. I mean, they kind of took the reality platform and like to the next level. You know what I mean? As far as like creating like their own brand and whatnot. It's just so impressive.
It was such a risk too. Like there was no guarantee that people were gonna like it or resonate with it.
Yeah. But then of course in retrospect you see exactly why people would like it and resonate with it. You know what I mean? It's like, oh yeah, we're gonna act trashy. I got all the gel in my hair. Abs and sex. That makes sense. I should start a magazine called Abs and Sex. It would sell. People would be like, yeah, there you go. Love it. Love it. Give me more of it.
You ever been to the area where the Jersey Shore was filmed?
Yeah. Like, again, I went to West Virginia University. We had plenty of Jersey Shore happening. You know, these kids aren't the brightest in the bunch. Of course, I went to college with them. And so they were like on my intellect. And yeah, I went to Jersey Shore a bunch of times. I got friends up there. Yeah. It's an interest. I went right where they were filming. Like, I think as they were filming, I was there and saw that go down. Yeah. Before any of that stuff like came to fruition. Yeah, it's definitely a interesting place. Only place in the world where they charge you to go onto the beach. You got to pay like $10 to walk the Jersey Shore, which is ridiculous to me. You know what I mean? It's like, this is the worst beach in America, and we're going to make sure you pay for it. And like, what are we doing? Why are we doing that? That beach is terrible. Syringes. Yeah. Seaweed and syringes.
What was that bar appearance, scene like for you? How long were you doing it for? Like,
man. Oh, I gotta. I was doing it for like maybe like 18 months after the show. I was doing it for like a year and a half until I was doing it until a new season came. Put it that way. Gotcha. Yeah, until there was a new season on television, I was still getting booked, and it was fine. It was fun. There's a couple of a little bit of drama. There was like this. I think because there's these guys, these little like leechy kind of guys that want to be like your bar booking agent, and they'll hop on you, and the producers tell us they warn us about them. They're like, dude, they're gonna come, they're gonna try to like sign you to be like your agent, just like pay them no attention. And then this one guy like pitched it to me, and I was like, look, man, we can work together. I'm not signing anything. And he was like, well, I'm gonna tell people you're my client. And I was like, fine, whatever. And nonetheless, someone offered me to do something in DC, and they went through him, and he was like, he's $1,000 or something like that. And they were like, no. So then they just like found me on Facebook, and they're like, look, bro, we'll give you like, $300 to come here and like, hang out. And I was like, I'll take it. It's right by my house. Like, I can be there in 5 minutes and I get to drink for free and get $300. Of course I'll do that. And then he found out about it. He was like furious. He was like, I told them no. They're trying to undercut you, bro. You're worth more than that. Like, don't do it. And I was like, well, I already said I would. And so then he like purposely got me an appearance for like $800 in Atlanta, Georgia. And I was like, all right. And he was like, on the same night, he was like, I got you this thing. Stick with me. I got you. And so I went down to Atlanta, Georgia to go to this appearance for like $800. And then I looked at the flyer and I was like, this is like an interesting place. Like, what am I getting myself into? And then I walked in, and sure enough, there was like a whole group of people. They had their shirt tied like this. Like somebody tied my shirt. They're dancing. And I was like, I'm doing a gay bar appearance. and like people were like on me, which is fine. I mean, my brother's gay. Like I have no quarrel with that. I just didn't know that that's what I was signing up for. And then I was like kind of like on display. Like I was like this. It was like people were looking at me like I was like an exhibit, you know, and they were like coming up and just like, I did not know that you were in this lifestyle. Like I had no idea that you were in, and I was like, oh no, I'm a cis boy. Like I'm straight. Like I'm just here because you know, I don't mind. But it was like totally just like not explained to me what was going on.
Wow. Were you
Yeah.
alone? Were you alone on that one?
Yeah, I was alone.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was like a thrown into the lion's den. And I mean, of course, I played along. I'm pretty comfortable with myself. I had no problem. But I was like, you could have at least told me that that's what I was doing. You know what I mean?
What was your favorite location you went to on one of the appearances?
Oh man, I'd probably there was like some random club in like Pennsylvania that somebody booked me for. I can't remember what it was. It was like I think it was Easton, Pennsylvania or something like that. I don't know. It was a small town, but they were going crazy. They were just like super keen, like ready to have a good time, treating me like I was some type of like actual celebrity. It was hilarious. And then the same time I was there was like some porn star that's from that town that was also there, like just visiting home. And then it turned into like an absurd night. You know what I mean? Just like people going crazy, getting like naked in the bar. Like it was wild. It was like just this wild thing. It made me feel like I was living like some rock star life.
Did you introduce yourself to the porn star?
I had to. I felt obligated.
Oh God! I mean, yeah.
I was like, hello. I don't know your work, but I'm sure I'll look it up. I guess so you seem like a nice lady. You seem very personable. Yeah, it was fun. It was an interesting night. Jesus, they were going real hard over there.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff spread out on the table in the open. I noticed like when you go to small towns and you go to these like clubs in these small towns, like they do a lot of illegal stuff just in the open. Like they're not too worried about law enforcement in these places. Yeah. And so like that night in particular was like a Tarantino film. There was just like so much going on around me. It was like absurd.
So this will draw me back to a similar point when I mentioned about the Paramount Plus with streaming channel All Stars, and I think I mentioned about Real World Homecoming. Loads of people want to see a Real World Homecoming season in New Orleans again with you guys. And I pitched this idea with when I just had Ryan on. He actually said he'd be open to it. I want to hear your thoughts now. Say if they were to bring you all back, revisit you guys, bring you guys back together. Kind of, I feel like it'd be cool and special if they did it somewhat of in a light, paying tribute to Night in a way. Obviously, with gone, I think that'd be obviously a focal point there. Yeah. Is that something you would be open to?
So it would be again like I'm big in prioritizing what I got going on in life. So like let's say that if that idea was pitched to me like today, like with everything I got going on, I probably would do it. You know what I mean? Like hopefully I don't have gigs that I feel like super obligated to fulfill. But if I was just doing like just some, you know, like the comedy tour I got going is great, but I think I got like, you know, maybe another month of that. But nonetheless, yeah, I'd be open to it. Like I'm not like obligated to be in some country to do some job or whatever. So it'd be fine. But if I was like on a contract, if I was working, if I was doing something else and it just wasn't lining up, like I'm not about to like leave work or this lifestyle to go, you know, rehash some stuff that doesn't really matter. Yeah. But I would be open to it for sure.
But if I'm playing devil's advocate here, would you rather Challenge All Stars call you, or would you go to Real World?
Oh no, definitely Challenge. Definitely Challenge All Stars. I'm trying to make that money, Mike. The money. I want that. I want to show off. That I'm more equipped for that.
Yeah, sure.
I'm a competitive guy. Like that makes more sense. Like drama for my feelings, that's not really like my number one attribute. Like, I mean, again, it happens. You can like wind me up if you're that type of person, but that's not my thing. But like, yeah, you want me to like, bash somebody with some aluminum whatever thing they got going, like gladiator style? Oh, I'm all in.
Wow, dude, it's such a shame that we didn't, get to see you on Battle of the Sea
Yeah.
any season in, that aspect. But,
No, I got to reach out to Theo Vaughn because I think he do some challenges. I think Theo Vaughn did a couple challenges.
he did. He
Yeah, like I want to talk to him about it only because that's how he did his thing. We're both in the comedy game, but nonetheless, yeah, it would be interesting. Although Theo's like blowing up, he's taking that next step that I'm trying to get to.
Right, right. Do you have
Yeah.
anything that you want to plug or promote or talk about upcoming plans?
Oh man, well, I got the Sydney project that's on YouTube now. I'm proud of that. It's like a comedy special I did down here. But next year I'm working on Sydney Project Volume 2, and I'm live streaming like a talk show, a comedy talk show called Live from Sydney. It's every Tuesday at 8 here in Sydney, and we're doing the live stream probably in like a couple weeks because we're still building the show. But it's a great show. It's super fun. The comedy scene down here in Sydney is like fantastic. They got so many good comedians, and we were the first ones to like be open during the pandemic. Like the live stuff here didn't really stop, so it's great. And that's gonna stream, I think. But on the East Coast, it's like the only part in the world that we're kind of like not trying to get to, because I think it would be 3 a.m. But like the clips will be up on the Live from Sydney like Instagram and like YouTube page. So
That's awesome.
yeah, man, doing it.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to do this with me today, man.
No problem, bro. Good luck.
Yeah, but want to get you on here for quite some time. I'm one of the spokesmen for trying to get Eric Patrick on a challenge after all.
Get me on a challenge. You be my campaign manager, Mike. You know what I mean?
Your MC.
All right, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, I'm down for it. I appreciate you having me on and keep on doing the good work. I mean, this show is like super professional and like it's great. I love that you've been churning them away, and there's an audience for you, so that's really cool. And it's great to see you out here doing it, man.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
And if by some chance you're ever doing a show in New York, let me know. I might come catch it.
I'll be back in New York, man. Hey, dude, is New York like opening back up? Like, what's happening up there?
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah?
Gyms in New York, New Jersey don't have mask requirements anymore. Like they just said, like now, like indoor businesses are allowed if they choose to. Obviously, like don't have to, require masks anymore. So things are pumping and running.
There we go. And you guys are, I mean, how are you with the vaccine, dude? Are you getting it? Are you thinking about it? Are you? Yeah.
I haven't gotten it yet, but
All right.
we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
All right, fair enough. Go ahead and take your time, bro. It's all good. I got my first jab last week, man. I had just for the travel purposes, I had no choice. I'm just hoping it doesn't, I don't want to grow like a third penis or anything. I don't want to get like a like a foot growing out of my butt cheek or whatever. Hopefully nothing goes wrong. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. All right,
Yeah,
man.
man. Good luck, bro.
You too. Take care.
All right, bro. Have a good night.